One evening this week, Emily Yu sat up until 2 a.m. angrily responding to comments posted on a TV news website in reaction to a story about her battle with other residents in her townhouse complex, called Australia. The next morning found Yu sipping coffee in her kitchen opposite a groggy boarder from New Zealand. On the pavement out front, neighbors had piled copies of the local paper. A story about their fight with Yu prominently featured on the front page. The Strata, the city and the courts have all told Yu to stop using her 3-bedroom, 5-level North Vancouver home as an Airbnb hostel. But the 42-year-old is not a woman given to taking no for an answer. I believe I'm right, Yu says firmly. I'm going to continue to fight for my rights. This is my home. I have a right to enjoy my property. My Strata, they can say whatever they want, but they don't have a right to take away my civil right of enjoying my property, cease and desist. Again, a simmering court fight over the future of the Oasis hostel, as it's listed on Booking.com, broke into the open this week as Yu's neighbors went public with their frustrations. Last September, BC's Civil Resolution Tribunal upheld nearly $7,000 in Strata bylaw fines related to Yu's rental of her property to a changing group of 10 to 20 strangers per night. Strata-titled properties, similar to condos, own the land in common and can create bylaws to govern residents. A pair of dogs await visitors to Emily Yu's townhouse, which serves as an Airbnb hostel, according to a decision from BC's Civil Resolution Tribunal. Airbnb. The bylaws were amended in 2016 after Yu started renting out as many as 15 beds a night on Airbnb. The bylaws don't mention her by name, but the message is pretty clear. Residents are expressly prohibited from using units as short-term accommodation, bed and breakfast, lodging house, hotel, home exchange, timeshare or vacation rental. But as the tribunal pointed out, Yu only appeared to escalate her activity after the bylaws passed. North Vancouver issued a cease and desist letter. Inspectors noted the presence of vending machines in the hallway. And after the tribunal ruled in their favor, the Strata went to BC Supreme Court to enforce the payment of fines. Even Airbnb announced Yu's suspension as a host this week as the company takes time to investigate this further. We actually feel pretty helpless, but shell-shocked residents say Yu is like some kind of short-term rental Terminator. The more she's hit, the stronger she gets. It's actually quite comical, says Aaron Wozni, who lives a few units away. The fact that our legal system, our bylaws, our municipal government is allowing this to occur. If you were running any other type of illegal business, it would be shut down. Beaches residents Aaron Wozni, left, and Maeve Chamberlain stand outside Emily Yu's townhouse. The North Vancouverites say they're frustrated at the seeming impotence of the courts and the city. Jason Proctor, CBC, frustration barely begins to cover it, he says. Here we are talking about a 15-bed hostel. There's fire concerns. There's concerns of bed bugs. There's concerns of insurance. And then there's just the weird strangers that are coming up and down the pathway inside our complex, says Wozni. As a group and a community, we actually feel pretty helpless. We are doing everything financially possible to put an end to this. And now, recently, we're talking to the media. They just cannot open their hearts in a sunny afternoon. The placid pathways as the Beaches townhouse complex belie the tension behind the walls. After losing at the Civil Resolution Tribunal, Yu filed a petition in BC Supreme Court in which she claimed to have been threatened, targeted and her privacy invaded by many of the Strata members. She also claimed brain injuries from a series of car accidents had left her unable to hold a job, and that she had filed a complaint with the BC Human Rights Tribunal. Neighbors left a pile of newspapers outside the front gate to Yu's townhouse. Featured on the front page is an article about their battle over her Airbnb hostel. Jason Proctor, CBC, a judge dismissed that petition as well. Sitting in her kitchen, Yu says she started hosting homestay students more than a decade ago. She says she's doing what she can to provide a landing pad for people struggling to get a foothold in a new community. And she believes her rights should be grandfathered. My neighbors, they are really emotional. I offer a legitimate business helping people to get settled in Canada to make a contribution to our country and our society, she says. All these things created by my neighbors. The reason they create all these rumors is because they just cannot open their hearts and their arms to embrace new immigrants and travelers to be a part of our society. Big winners, lawyers and vintners. Next door neighbor Maeve Chamberlain points out bunk beds visible in a room on the second floor. She says her heart isn't closed, but the noise next door sometimes forces her to shut her windows. It's hard to say where the battle will end. Previous condo conflicts have resulted in owners being forced to sell. Yu says she'll keep fighting. I'm going to continue to follow my values and vision to continue to go on this journey until they change the policy, and in the meantime, all neighbors say they can do is laugh, cry, and pay. The two people who are winning in this case first and foremost are the legal system and the BC wine industry, says Wozni. They are fueling our coping mechanisms.